We're gonna have a little bit of fun today. I just received my 2 prototypes from Hooligan Discs. If you haven't known yet, I just got sponsored by Hooligan Discs. Shout out, appreciate the love. I'm excited to try out this year, especially with some new prototypes we got here. Don't know what they quite are yet, but we're gonna give them a look today. So a little fun fact about these is we don't actually know what these are. My best guess is they're going to be the new recreations of the Vibe and then the Yeet from Hooligan back when they were with Lone Star. I'm kind of excited to see what they fly like because the only Yeet that I own now is extremely overstable, as in more overstable than my PD2 that I have. So we're gonna take a look at these. If it were my best guess, I would say this orange one right here is probably going to be the Yeet. It has a little bit of a higher wing and then an amazing amount of pop top. And then this black one that I have here, absolutely sexy-licious. A little bit domier and it's got a little bit lower of a wing. But yeah, I'm gonna give these a couple rips. We're gonna play a couple holes here at Woodlawn Park in Moorhead, Minnesota. And while we're out there, I'm gonna look for another disc that I lost. Which speculation wise, I'm actually kind of curious because I think that one disc that I lost was made by the same manufacturer that is now manufacturing these discs. All right, we're gonna start off with what I think is the Vibe. I got 173 and we got a little bit of a headwind, so it might flip a little more. I'm gonna give it like 70%. Definitely got some understability. Threw on a nice amount of hyzer. I would say, based on my knowledge of this course, that was about 420. Headwind, that's not bad. Gonna give the Yeet a good rip now. I'm gonna, well, what we think is the Yeet. I'm gonna give it kind of a flat ride and see if it'll hyzer out. I didn't throw it flat. Oh. That flipped over nice. Those were a lot more similar than I thought they would be. Now the black was definitely more understable from what I could tell, but overall, they're a lot closer to each other than I feel like the Yeet and the Vibe were from Lone Star. Now the disc I was referring to when I was talking about feel very similar plastic-wise to those discs and actually have some very similar markings on the bottom is the Birdie Discs Reach, the new Broderick, I don't know, shout out Minnesota love. They have a very similar rim feel, and likewise, they also have this one line on the inner bottom of the rim that feels very similar, and I'll give you guys a look at that here in a second. All right, so right there is where what I think the Yeet went, and then just a little bit further up, I'd say about 30 feet, is where the Vibe went. All right, so now initial flight, I loved how both of those flew. Again, I think that the orange, what I believe is the Yeet, was probably a little more overstable than the black one, but again, closer than I thought they would be. Now for the similarities that I was looking at between the Reach from Birdie and then these two discs, if you look on the bottom here, I think you can see it in the camera, is you can see a little inner like plastic rim right here that looks like it might have come from the molding process. And you didn't see that from Lone Star, which is why it's really interesting to me. Now I'm finding this Yeet to be notably less stable than the one that I threw from when Lone Star was manufacturing Hooligan discs. It still had a nice fighting amount of stability, especially for the amount of flat to hyzer that I threw it on. We're gonna go play hole 2 and see how it fares. I'm gonna be a little forgiving with myself with the footing on this tee pad. It's kind of crap. I've got a little bit of a, what is this? A right to left wind coming at me, so I'm thinking I'm gonna take what I think is the Yeet and I'm gonna get it on a forehand and see how it fares because this will be a great test of the wind. Well, that didn't happen. We are actually here to try out the Hooligan disc, the Vibe, which I'm going to try and put out wide and ride it on the hyzer, see if I can kind of hyzer flip it into the basket. Nice and wide, big old hyzer flip. Oh, that is going so far. Wow, okay. At best about 390, and on a full hyzer ride, that just went about 20 past, so good distance. I'm definitely thinking that's the Vibe, no pun intended. So now one thing I'm finding pretty funny about this is that in Bodanza's video, I'm pretty sure you sent very similar prototypes to what I was sent. He got 4 of them though, and I'm pretty sure that some of them had some different like wing lengths to them and stuff. But he compared the Yeetish disc to a PD2, and he didn't actually go out and throw it, so that wasn't like a fact or like it was gonna fly close to it. But it by no means has that much stability. Sadly, the Reach that I was hoping to compare these plastics against is either somewhere out here still in the snow, just under legitimately that much snow, or it's been taken, gone, shablinga. I literally lost it last night, absolute shame. Anyway, I'm gonna throw over to what is hole 10's basket. I'm gonna give I keep wanting to say wave, it's not a wave. I keep wanting to give the vibe another throw. I keep wanting to say wave because in my hot mind, this flies a lot like what I feel like the wave would fly like. Then I'm also gonna throw the what I think is the new yeet against my Drew Gibson yeet, which is, I think, the most overstable run of yeet that has been made. But still, just for principle, it's a yeet versus a yeet. Old Lone Star versus new Hooligan. Let's give it a try. Basket's about 470 out. I'm gonna give this vibe a full rip and see if I can try and get the full flight out of it. Not the most pristine footing conditions, but you know, we gotta do what you gotta do up here in Fargo, North Dakota. Big ol' hyzer, riding over to a flip. It's gonna finish just flat. It's about 30 feet short, but I mean, it was barely in the air the entire flight, which is very promising. Wave is definitely what I would compare it to. And honestly, I'm not a big overmold guy, so I think I personally like that a lot better. All right, next up, the Proto Yeet. I forgot to mention, I got sent Hooligan colors as an orange and black, which is so cool. So thank you very much. Straight to the ground. Okay, that, while it was a headwind, I thought I could trust it flat. I don't know why. I'm a little bit sad that wasn't more stable than it was, regardless of the fact that I threw it flat to Anheuser, but I mean, we'll give it another rip. Just for principle, I'm gonna throw this flat to Anheuser as well, just to give you an idea of how much more stable this is. That was flat to Anheuser, and that's riding out like a PD2. Now, I would say that flight is probably more like why Bonanza thought that it might have the PD2 flight. Although, the rim shape is not really the same at all. The old one is much, much, much deeper. Not like plate-wise, but like the wing is higher. Whereas the new one is more like that reach that I was talking about, which sadly is gone. Broderick, Birdie, I'd love another one. But here, I'm gonna give you a PD2 flight to see what that was like. Here's my personal Simon Skyrider. Throw it on the hyzer a little bit. Now I will say, that one's a little bit beat in. Like even that flipped up. And a good like hyzer, like finish. Like, I don't know. I can't quite compare it to a PD2, but like, what are you gonna do? All right, so the Proto, where I lose the vibe, was actually about 10 feet short of basket height. So we're looking at about 460 feet. Pretty good, especially for a headwind. I threw it on a gnarly amount of hyzer, but I mean, I think what my goal for the last shot's gonna be is I'm just gonna throw it on a nice, like, sturdy hyzer over to hole 1's basket, which is out there. I'll measure it when I'm done and see how it rides just with like a good supporting tailwind, which is what we have right about now. I'm gonna start out with the vibe because I feel like I can throw it flat and get a pretty good supporting shot out of this. Maybe even push 500 if I'm lucky. Good hyzer. Flipped up really nicely. Definitely not 500, but it's out there. A lot of hyzer on that one. It really acted like it too. I will say, if there wasn't a tailwind on that, it was definitely going to turn over. But I don't think it was gonna like turn over and burn. Like, it was a nice, like, consistent hyzer pushing shot. All right, next up, the Proto Vibe. Definitely throw it on a hyzer. Okay. I threw another really crappy shot, but that time it at least like held the hyzer. Really nice. It definitely pushed further than it deserved to. Like, it should have stayed in the air that long at all. But, and then just for reference, I'm gonna throw the old yeet again just to like get an idea of like what that single shot would look like. It's gonna just flare skip for days. Almost the same, probably a little more hyzer, but yeah, I mean, that just dug straight away. Yet again, that vibe is just absolutely pumped. I didn't measure it, but I know this basket is about 600 feet from the other one, and I was about 150 feet in front of the other one. So on a hyzer, pushing 450 feet, beautiful. We're gonna give these a little forehand rip at 2 real quick, starting with the yeet. Nice and flat. Okay, That tailwind is definitely pushing it over, so it got more stable faster than it probably should have. But I mean, still, that pushed straight for a good fat minute. All right, the vibe. Threw it low. Oh, that's holding straight nicely. Now, my forehand speed is definitely not at the part of my backhand speed, and I definitely showed there a little bit, but that vibe pushed us out a good 50 feet further than that yeet did, which is pretty telling. I think if I gave that yeet a little bit more Anheuser, I would have probably gotten a bit more true flight out of it, but overall, those are fantastic. My personal review of these discs, I know these are both going in my bag. I might try to get different colors in the black, just because it's going to be difficult to see, and especially in these Minnesota summers. I mean, not going to love it, although, but I will say for the first pull, the color scheme is sick. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are liking this yeet. I didn't give it quite a fair run today, but I can tell you right now that it's going to bomb. Bomb in the sense that it's going to have a nice stable finish, but it's going to turn and it's not going to turn and burn. The headwind might not be quite as fair for it because it's gonna want to turn a lot more, and you're gonna want to give it that hyzer start, but it's going to have a finish in almost any way that you throw it. As for this vibe, which is what I think it is, I think it's probably going to be a lot of people's who are maybe throwing the 350 to 400 range. It's going to be a really nice full flight disc for them. If I remember correctly, the vibe of old was a 11.5 neg 2.2, which is kind of why I was associating it with the Wave from MVP. And then, yeah, this, what I believe is the Yeet, which I sadly couldn't compare against the Broderick Reach today, just because I lost it and I'm an idiot for that, is going to be a lot of people's with a little bit higher of an arm speed disc. I think it's going to be very forehandable. It's going to get you a lot of distance. The glide overall is absolutely beautiful on it, and I think you all should give it a try. So check out Hooligan Discs. I know these are going to be coming out soon. As of right now, they're prototypes, but I'll be sure to tag them down below when they come out, and hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.